Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Zenyoku. Now, I got a guest today who's not just a name in his field, but a game changer. From nearly 1,000 podcast episodes to blowing up his eBay business to almost $100,000 in 6 months. Now, you don't know and you don't hear that every day. He's a master of alternative investing, dedicated student of personal growth, and someone who knows anime inside and out more than I do. Whether it's talking about money moves, leveling up on your skills, or what it means to evolve with every career pivot, this guest is here to drop some wisdom on us. So it's my pleasure to introduce none other than Andrew. What's up, man? How you doing?
Well, I'm good. I'm excited to be here, and I'm not used to that type of intro, so that's news to me. No. I mean, it's not that impressive. It's really not that impressive what I've done. You
Oh,
know,
no, it is. It is, man. It is 100% impressive. Well, why would you say it's not?
because it wasn't supposed to happen. That's why. I'm not saying I fell into all this, but I thought I was gonna do like this year in the last 6 months, like an extra 15,000, and it just so happened that I hit a area that was underserved that took off like a rocket, and that's what happens sometimes in life. And people might get offended, but women have made me a lot of money, so there we go.
Yeah. So, are we talking about actual women or we're talking about anime women?
We're talking about real women in the real world that I don't know directly, but I know of their work. If that makes any sense, I'll explain. So Caitlin Clark has made me a lot of money, Angel Reese has made me a lot of money, and Taylor Swift has made me a lot of money because they have products that, like cards and comics and memorabilia, that has really exceeded the value, and the WNBA is really responsible for a lot of my growth in the last 6 months.
Okay, so Caitlin Clark, do you think she's a bust or you think she's the real deal?
I think she's the real deal, but I don't think she's better than Angel Reese.
Ooh, hey, boy, that's a hot take right there. That's a hot take. That is a very hot take. You know, a lot of people say her importance to the game is bigger than Angel Reese, and also, I personally, I think she has game, right? The only thing is, I think she shoots way too much and she turns over the ball. Like she averaged what I think the league average was 6 turnovers a game, and she led the league, the women's NBA. And I was like, man, I need to see her. I need to see her turnovers go down more, and I need to see her actually, taking less shots and be more of a game manager so they can actually win a lot more.
I don't disagree. I think Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Nikita Mule, Kate Martin, and there's a bunch of others, Cameron Bank, JC Sheldon, have created institutionalization with the WNBA. So that they're being institutionalized into like a mental health. I want to make that crystal clear because people get those words mixed up sometimes.
Yeah.
They have brought corporate money, and they have brought men to watch the WNBA. And this is going to sound sexist, but I don't really care because it's true. So they have got men like me now buying cards, watching games, wanting to go buy the New York Liberty just won the finals. I'm buying a New York Liberty shirt. I'm a guy. That didn't exist a year ago. That didn't exist 2 years ago. So we could have a discussion about, are women watching the WNBA? Yes, women are watching the WNBA. Are little girls saying, I want to be like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese? Absolutely. But like my buyers on eBay, 90% of them are men. And they're spending real money. So when somebody's spending $300 for a card and you're a guy, and that didn't exist a year ago or 2 years ago, yes, men are the reason why the WNBA is propped up. And that's a good thing because that's money now in there. And guess what? If there's 9 guys who are watching, guess what? The opportunity for a little girl who says, I want to be like Caitlin Clark in 12 years now is more possible.
I do.
It is more possible. Sorry for cutting you off, but I need
No. Finish your thoughts. I'm sorry for cutting you off. Finish.
Yeah, I'm done.
No, I'm excited, bro. Like that. You know what I'm saying? I think. I'm not sure if you saw you watch with Shaq, Ernie, and what's it called? Jet and everyone.
Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny. Yeah, they was talking about that. I think they said they were saying how the WNBA would be a lot better if they took the hoops and brought them down by 3 to 4 feet so they can actually dunk, probably like 3 feet. And then if they can start dunking, then it'd be exciting, high rise, high. And then Shannon Sharp was talking about that as well on Club Shay Shay. He was like, man,
Oh, I love Club Shay
it'd be electric. Say again?
I love Club Shay Shay.
Yeah, man. Unc be doing this thing. Him man, all crazy, man. Ocho Cinco.
So I'll explain how this happened. So I started watching all this during the NCAA women's tournament. It was way better than the men's. It was so much better. I mean,
man, you talking?
I live in Connecticut. It was fun watching Paige Buchers. It was fun watching Juju Watkins.
Ooh, that girl crazy.
You know, is it North or South Carolina? I always get them mixed up.
It's South Carolina.
It's South Carolina. I get them confused.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You know, we're not all perfect.
Yeah.
But this is what I mean is that it was so much fun, and I thought Dawn Staley was amazing during the Olympics. But I'll say this: I have no problem saying the women in the Olympics. That was the worst women's game I've ever seen.
Facts.
Against France. That was bad. That was bad.
Facts. We came home with the goal, but it just wasn't exciting.
No, they almost lost.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we came home with the goal, but it just, that game in particular, like you're saying, just wasn't exciting because they wasn't playing at the level they should have been playing at.
This was not a team that won like 62 games in a row and hasn't lost in the Olympics in like 20 years. That was not that team. And it was very, very upsetting. Now, it was scary because I had a lot of money on that game. It was scary. I had a lot of money on the men, too. That was scary, too. Not as scary because I knew Kevin Durant and Steph Curry were going to save us. Yep. I knew. That LeBron still has it, everybody, but he's got a few clicks, you know, in his knees. Crystal clear here. I love LeBron. Don't get me wrong. I used to not like LeBron, but I like LeBron. But that women's thing. But I was joking during the Olympics. I said, if I have to miss 3 weeks of the WNBA and they don't come back with a gold, I'm going to be furious.
I bet.
But that's how I feel. But I like the WNBA. I think it's great. I can't wait for it to come back. I mean, college basketball is starting in like 2 weeks from now. I mean, it's fun. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I'm in a cooling off period buying cards. Baseball ends November 1st. The WNBA has just ended, and I need a break. A break. But
so what do you do when it comes to a break? Do you actually take a vacation, or do you? What's a break look like? I guess I should ask that question.
So I'll answer the question on my podcast. So I don't do interviews in December. So I do a lot of social media, and then I just don't do interviews in December. And I maybe do 6 shows. I do a wrestling show with a friend of mine, and I do that on a Friday night. But the other nights I'm watching anime, I'm doing social media, I'm prepping up for the new year, I'm looking for guests for January, but I'm not interviewing. And I'm not writing. So that's a break on that. So just going through for a block a period of time. And I'm going to Christmas parties, and it just alleviates stress.
Gotcha.
Because you got your office party, you got your Zoom parties, you got your anime parties, you got your family stuff, you're meeting, your friends, and all sorts of stuff. So December, that's a break. But in my eBay store, what it is that I'm just gonna essentially after November 1st, I'll pick up just less cards and I'll just turn it down a little bit. And then I'll reevaluate, and then I'm also gonna look at my stock and say, cool, this worked really well. Why did it work well? And this is still here. Why is it still here? Or sometimes I have a product that you had to buy a whole set, but one of the cards took care of the whole set and then some, and the rest of it is garbage. But you couldn't break up the set. So the other stuff, I'll give it away for free. So I just might say, cool, does anybody want to buy these other 13 cards for $1? And you could pay the shipping for like $4 on it.
Yeah.
Because so that's also how I take a break. Because sometimes I bought a card set for $20 and the Caitlin Clark sold for $60. The other 13 cards, I just don't want them. And I'm going to have like 3 sets for me, but the other stuff, I'm like, I don't know how to store this. So who wants some Angel Reese cards for free?
And so do you see a lot of that happening? Like, it sounds like you build a nice brand. He has a pop anime comics, right? And it seems like you build such a good brand and you actually give stuff away. Do you think that keep people coming and looking out for new deals and know that you're not, not necessarily swindling them or hustling them, like
I
with a
give cards.
markup of crazy percents?
I give cards for free out, but also, I mean, I have marked cards up crazy, but not
Yeah.
because I wanted to, but because the market determined that's what it was.
Gotcha.
So I bought a Pete Alonso, and he hit that 3-run home run in the Brewers game that got them to face the Phillies.
Mm-hmm.
Great home run, and then the next day a base relic came out where they put a base of a card. They put the base from the game in the card, and so I bought 2 of those, and then I sold one of them, and I sold it for like $460. It's a $210 card. I sold it for $460, and it's not because that's what the market determined its value to be. And people were asking like $500. I said, dude, I'll do it for $460 right now. I want to get in and out of the trade as quick as possible, and I made a lot of money in the process, and it paid for a good chunk of my one that I kept for myself.
Okay. So question, if you can elaborate more for our guests, like when you say you made a lot of money, so that we could put, you don't have to be specific. You told me specifically, but I'll let you, say if you want to do that, right? What is a dollar figure looks like for you?
What do you mean? What do you mean? So I'll answer the question in which that on my eBay business, I am looking for a 40 to 60% upward position per item on high end stuff. So for instance, I buy wholesale cards. I have no problem. This is not a secret. I buy 25 Caitlin Clark cards for $100 for a card. I'm selling them for $8 to $9 with free shipping. So I'm making about 40% in profit on them. Now we're talking about $9. But now when you're doing that, instead of doing it with 25 cards, you're doing it with 100, your percentage is about 40-45%. But when you're doing with a lot of product, you make a decent amount of money. So that's how I view it. And then obviously I have, a little under $1 million worth of merch that is for sale in some capacity and is in a sale component bin. For lack of better word, some of it's still waiting for maturity. Also, some of it's waiting for better market times. Because I'm not going to go list a item that should sell for $1,200 when the market is a disaster. Or I have a Spider-Man book. I have an Ultimate Fallout 4. But for those who don't know it, it's the first appearance of Miles Morales. I'm waiting for the next Miles Morales thing to drop. This way it spikes higher when I sell my second copy. So it's in my sell bin, but it's not for sale. I don't know if that makes sense because
it absolutely does. And when you talk about the market, like how if I wanted to get into selling a lot of collectible cars or cars that I think might be collectible, how would I get into something like this so I can have a inventory like you with almost $1 million?
Cool. So I'm gonna go through this, and this is how I do it. And maybe you should listen to me, maybe you shouldn't. This is not financial advice. You have to look at how much cash you have first and foremost, because you could start with $100 and then you could cash flow it that way. So you could go look and you could say, cool. I mean, the WNBA season's over, so you're not going to play in the WNBA right now. But let's say you want to play in the WNBA. That season starts around March, April. Is usually when you want to go look around, and then you say, cool, I got $100. I could buy 25 cards. So then you take that and then you go, cool, look up who are the top draft picks. So Paige Buchers, Juju Watkins, there's a few others. You say, cool, what is this going for? Cool, let me buy 25 cards. And then great, if I buy them for $4, I could sell them for $7, make a few dollars, recoup my 100, and then maybe get another 30, and then take that 130 and go to the next one, the next one, the next one. And then you could just level up, because that's how I did it. 10 years ago with Lego minifigs, $2, and I was selling them for $6 on eBay 10 years ago. So I started with a $2 product.
Wow.
So now I was having a lot of fun because that was the day where you could figure out which minifigures were on the barcodes. And I had a friend who now works for Lego, and he handed them to me, those barcodes. And so I was looking up the good ones, and so like the astronaut, the cheerleader, those were like $8-9 figures because everybody wanted one. So
Yeah.
I'm going through Target. I'm sitting on the floor at Target, and I'm like, cheerleader.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry for doing that. I had it. It was too easy. Because the mariachi man was like a $4 one, and the cheerleader's like $10. Like,
Yeah.
and $2 Lego minifig. So it's like you gotta figure out. And then the diver is not that great, but the astronaut's awesome. And the diver and the astronaut want the cheerleader. Oh my god! Just that's what it looked like on the package. It was
Yeah.
great. But that's how I started, and then you just keep leveling up and up and up and up. But then once you get to a certain level, and it's also how much you want to play in this, right? If your goal is to make $3,000 and then have a 50% profit margin and make $1,500 and have a good time with it, great, that's fine. But if you want to keep leveling up, you have to figure out what level you want to get at, how much debt you want to occur in the business, and where you want to go with it, and you got to know your homework. And cards are easy because you can buy in bulk at wholesale levels, which means you can pass it on to your customers. So you got to know your product, and you also have to understand shipping. But shipping one card is 70 cents. So that's the thing. Shipping a comic book is much more complicated. And comics are way more complicated, and I carry both products. And that's kind of what it is. So that's how you do it, right? So you can legitimately play for $100. And so if you completely screw up, the worst thing that could happen if you only go in with $100 is you lose $100.
$100. That's true. That is true. That is true, man. So, but you did a lot of work on in the market, right? Trying to, understanding your marketplace and everything like that. Would you say it's passion that you have? Because like when you talk, you very passionate, animated, like you hyped up about it, or do you think it's like, is it passion, or is it just the idea of now I'm making a sale?
I just know what a Caitlin Clark card looks like, and it's a commodity to me. And I like money. I like the aspect of trading. I like the aspect of coming across them. Like I figured out, looking at these games and this Caitlin Clark stuff and all that stuff, I'm like, this is a shift in the market.
Yeah.
Where it was crystal clear because I looked at the ratings. The women's games had more ratings than the men's. And I looked at what the market was determining with these cards and these athletes in college who were about to come into the league. And I kind of spotted a trend. And I'm like, this is money, and this is a lot of money that's about to come in. And I figured it out, and then I liked the topic of money. And so this is like, cards are a commodity to me. This is no longer where it's like a stock. And I play a lot in stocks. I play a lot in crypto.
Okay.
I have a very, very nice stock portfolio. That's a low six-figure stock portfolio at this point.
So so if you did stocks, I know this is not financial advice, everyone, but if you did stocks, right, would it make sense to be more conservative in your youth, or be more
So there's conservative positions and non-conservative positions. I mean, S&P 500 is a very aggressive index fund. My Roth IRA is extremely aggressive. It's about 37% of it is an S&P 500 fund. There's another like 37% that is a high chips Fidelity Select Electronics, which is microprocessors and chips. In that regard, that's aggressive. I have Netflix in there. I have Amazon. And then I have Realty Income. So I have a very aggressive Roth IRA, and I have a very aggressive regular brokerage account. But it's not high flyers. It's not speculative. So I'm not putting in Uncle Bob's gold mine stock. I'm buying something like Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
I would not say if you want a conservative position, then you should buy a CD or a U.S. Treasury, a 10-year Treasury note. And there's nothing wrong with that. But here's the reality of life: is that if you want returns, because I've had a year where I've had 37% rate of return. But I've also had years where, I don't know if you remember, I think it was like 2020 or 2019, I had a day where I legitimately had a $25,000 loss. Now, it wasn't a realized loss. What do you think I did on that day?
Stop trading for the day. I would have.
I don't trade. I don't trade stocks. I invest.
Oh, okay. So I guess
What
I personally, if I had a loss like that, I probably would have just stopped looking at it and let it do what it do.
What I did is I bought more. So I was waiting for a market crash. When the market
Mm.
crashed, I'll tell a story. There's a company called Texas Roadhouse. I love Texas Roadhouse. Great stock. Stock was at about like $100 before the market crashed. It crashed down to 32. I bought a bunch of it. Take a guess where that stock's sitting right now.
Probably 300 or something.
It's about 177.
Okay.
So I bought a stock for $32 and I'm up 400%. I bought it at the lowest position, and they brought back their dividend and raised it like about 9 months later after this whole thing. And I'm like, I understand the company. And I went there. I had this cute waitress. She was really good, and I just knew I was going to invest in that company, and I can't wait to buy more of it. I really can't because it's a great company. I mean, I bought Netflix for $217. Netflix is nearly $800.
Yeah.
I bought Apple for $43.
Mm-hmm.
So like I bought all these companies, and I actually bought even Netflix even higher at $600 in a Roth, and it went up to almost at $800, and might be prime for a stock split. So I take my card stuff and my comic stuff, the profits I make on that, I invest in stocks, small corporate business bonds, crypto, and then real estate shares.
Okay.
And so I deleverage out of this while maintaining a healthy profit of 30 to about 35% is what I take out of my business, give or take a year. So if you do 100,000, I could take about 30,000 around that number out. I don't think people understand when you can take out $30,000 and you can put that straight into the stock market and do whatever you want with it. It's a game changer.
It is. So I actually took out a considerable amount of my money. I had it in the Treasury because the Treasury was making hand over fist. But I took it out because how Warren Buffett is, all the indications he's waiting for a crash. So I took that advice and I just took my money out, and I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for this crash. Do you think it's gonna happen?
I don't know. I think we're gonna. Here's what I think. Right. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So right now we are in a bubble. So collectibles are a bubble. The comics aren't a bubble. Maybe not cards. Cards have actually been revived. And I'm high-end cards, I'm making bank on. They're easy to deal with. It's great. Collectibles have had a bubble and it's popped and it's a disaster, and I'm just waiting for better days. And so I have to hold on and just surf down the river on my comic stuff. And my parents and my girlfriend are not happy with my collection, and but I'm like, I can't sell it at the moment. We gotta hold on, and I'm thinking March things are gonna get interesting because Raul Powell talks about this. Let me put it this way: if Trump wins and JD Vance are the president and the vice president, whether you like this or not, they are very pro-capitalism. They are very pro-crypto, and that is definitely going to soar under a Trump return to presidency, whether you like him or you don't. And I think the country will actually be better, and I think it will soar up, right? I don't think the country's going to fall apart with Kamala Harris. I just think it's going to go at a lower rate. And we don't know. There's nothing known about her position on crypto, and Tim Walz doesn't care about crypto. He has no stance on this. And so I think it's just going to go slower. I think it's going to go slower under that. Now, I don't think in the long run, 4 years is really going to make a difference. I actually think if you want to get in on the market, you're probably going to be better to get in on the market under Harris and Walz than you would be under Vance and Trump.
I see what you're saying,
but that doesn't mean that if you're retired.
No, I know why you're saying that. I get it. I get the economical analytic. What you're laying
It doesn't matter to me because I'm a long-term investor. I'm 31, so I have 34 years before retirement is on the docket for me at 65. So it doesn't matter for me. I am long America, and again, I don't really care who's in the White House. Now, I'm not thrilled with my senator in Connecticut who's anti-crypto. Okay, and he's a Democrat, and I think he's anti-crypto because I think he doesn't understand it. But that's a real personal issue, because when you have a lot of money in crypto and somebody is passing or voting against crypto bills that would
Yep.
protect cryptocurrencies and help them, I'm gonna be obviously active. And I'm not saying I'm a single issue voter, but I definitely am in tune to it. But then again, Joe Biden put into the IRS code continues to the hobby. Continues to the hobby, for those who don't know, and I know I'm speaking a lot, and this goes back to the Pete Alonso thing, is if you buy a card for $210 and you bought a second one and you sell that second one for $500, you don't pay taxes on the majority of that second card because it paid for both. Or in my circumstance, I bought my Pete Alonso for $420. I sold it for $460. eBay takes 13%, so I made less than $460 on it. And you got to set money aside for some other things that come up, protecting and all that stuff. But let's say I pulled in $380 on that second card. Theoretically, on those two cards, I am down $40. That is not a taxable event. I don't have to pay taxes on that two cards that I just bought and sold, or that one card I just sold.
Okay.
So I got what I wanted for $40. And so that's continues of the hobby. And so part of my eBay business is that too, where I could go buy a bunch of cards and then they become taxed for my collection and they don't become taxable. But that's the other side of this too, is that I have a friend who doesn't want to do what I do and pull out 30 G's or 25 G's. He says, I want to pull in $50,000 and buy $50,000 worth of stuff for my collection. And he pays no taxes because of Joe Biden's provision called Continues of the Hobby in the IRS code. In case anybody didn't know, I read the IRS code January 1st every year.
For real? How many pages is it?
It's enough.
And you read the whole thing?
I mean, I read the majority of it because
You the parts that count for you, of course. Okay,
I mean, if you read like 2/3 of it, you're gonna get the gist of what you need. And also, there's the updates first that you read. But again, I read the IRS code because you need to know what to tell your accountant on how to do something.
So everyone here listening, make sure January 1st, read the IRS code.
People think I'm crazy. People think I'm crazy for doing this.
And I don't think you're crazy. Man, I wish, I'm getting the knowledge and understanding too, because I was like, man, like, where to get this? So you're giving it to me. So we talked about collectibles. I want to dive into anime real quick. You said 91 Days is the anime that influenced a lot for you, right? No wasted movements in your own business and own life. So what ways have you cut out unnecessary movement, and what impact has it had on you?
Okay, so what I figured out is that the shipping is how you cut out unnecessary movement. So I've actually organized the shipping dock where I have Sharpies, my printer, tape, envelopes, highlighters, other things that you need, return labels, and sometimes a few packages depending if I'm doing heavy comics. But lately I've been doing heavy cards, so the comics are a little bit inefficient to ship out. And then every once in a while I'll pick up a Pop Funko, but those are the abnormal ones. So I have like a box of envelopes in my shipping dock, right? And I have like 3 or 4 boxes of envelopes, so that when I go, I say, cool, I have 50. So I'll give an example. It hasn't occurred yet. I sold 122 of the same Caitlin Clark card to a bunch of different people. So on my shipping dock, I am going to go build out maybe 80, 90, or however many envelopes I have in stock, and I'm going to do the whole Caitlin Clark run, sitting down, printing it out, and doing it all at once. And by doing that, it eliminates inefficiencies because I have all my envelopes there, I have all my return addresses there, I have my printer there, and I have everything else I can potentially need in a boatload of tape. So because now I'm not scrambling and resetting up a shipping dock or a shipping area. I don't have to, and then I'm not doing 25 here. Oh, this person needs their things. I'm like, I'm sorry, your Kate Martins are going out next week. I got these 125 of Caitlin Clark's, and I'm on a roll of doing them all at once. So that's how I've eliminated inefficiencies in my business. Because by doing one sector and getting rid of one sector, it works. And I also typically take the biggest one first, if they all have come in at the same time. So if somebody bought a Kate Martin, Caitlin Clark, and Angel Reese, and there's 5 Kate Martins, I'm probably going to deal with the biggest one first because it gets off of the docket on eBay. So I have legitly 65 Caitlin Clark Rookie of the Year cards. And then now, because I've eliminated all 60 of those, because when you ship it and print out from eBay, they get taken off. So now, instead of it being on 4 pages, it's on 2. Now, I don't have to scroll through as many pages, which sounds weird, but all of a sudden, you don't now have to, the Kate Martin was ordered 6 weeks ago, and the Angel Reese has to ship out there, and I'm not bouncing around.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's one way. And then other ways is that sometimes you just stick with certain products. So I'm not bringing in a Brianna Stewart. I brought in an Angel Reese, a Kate Martin. Actually, that's not true. I do bring in some Brianna Stewarts, but not the point. I'm not bringing in the whole WNBA either. Yeah. I will focus on players and cards. So I'll focus on Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Mookie Betts. If there's a player, Ellie De La Cruz, Paul Skeens. So you also can pick 16 players. So now you're only tracking the 16, and then every once in a while you pick up a random one here and there. Okay. But you're not tracking the whole market. Also with product, or conversely with something like DC or Marvel, you might just pick one of them in comics or something along those lines, because that also helps with efficiencies, because then you don't have to be an expert. Oh, what happened in Spider-Man and what happened with Iron Man? Oh, Batman's over here, because you're going to go crazy. Okay. So that's usually also how you can deal with efficiencies. So you pick a spot or a genre, and you don't necessarily go out of that too much, unless you completely shift, or if it's a necessity to shift. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I was not bringing in any Caitlin Clark cards, so I chose the Rookie of the Year. I would have no choice but to play in that sector. But there's only one Rookie of the Year card. So that's the other thing too, is that it wouldn't be as bad as an inefficiency. But draft night is a good example. You gotta pick and choose a few people in draft night, and you can't. Or you can pick the whole market up. It's one or the other. Yeah. So I picked Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese in draft night, and Nikita Mule, and that was it for last year in draft night. I didn't touch J.C. Sheldon. I didn't touch Cameron Brink. I didn't touch anybody else, because you can't. You're going to go crazy. So because now you've limited SKUs, which also helps with efficiency.
So question, I mean, we talked about you doing it with the WNBA comics and stuff like that. Do you do football as well? And you talked about baseball as well. Do you do football cards?
I don't. I do a little bit of football, but there's only so much I can handle this year. Again, the WNBA is a brand new product for me.
Gotcha.
Legitimately, that is a brand new product in April. Yeah. So we're talking about figuring out cash. We're talking about figuring out infrastructure. I mean, a whole infrastructure line had to be built. Yeah. With this, and again, I thought I was going to go from 25,000, 30,000 to maybe 45, maybe 50, not 95,000. It was not intended, right? This was again. I was on a free consulting call with somebody to help me out with branding, because those are important too, right? And I said, this was not supposed to happen. Again, I was expecting to do 45,000. I would have been happy there. And it just took off like a rocket. And that because all of a sudden you have cards that you're just selling a lot of cards, and you keep selling them, and they keep, and I'm selling them before I have them. So those 122 Caitlin Clark cards, I don't even have them. This is what's crazy. I sold 122 of those cards before the card even existed.
Yo!
No. This is criminal. How good I am. So get it, right? So theoretically, this is the whole thing. See, now everybody's gonna be like, how'd you do it, right? So Caitlin Clark's Rookie of the Year, right? I know she's the Rookie of the Year. I know Panini, which has a WNBA, is gonna create the Rookie of the Year card, right? Yep. It's easy. We know it's until that was over. I mean, that's what baseball does. I mean, logically, I thought that's what it was going to be. So I'm like, cool, I'll drop the card. Everybody's going to buy this. I'm selling it for $8. I pay $4 for it. I'm happy. I'm making some money on this. Then I said, cool, God forbid this will come out in 3 weeks. I'll bond out the money into my high yield Apple savings account, getting 4%. Then I'll have another 40 days to figure this out. So off 2 months, I'll make on so 122 times $9, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I sold them for an average of like $8.50 a card, but we'll round up to 9. 9's easier.
Yes, sir. Sure.
I'm gonna do the math for us right now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just to give an idea here, because again, I just want to get this stuff right here. So we have 122 times 9.
Yep.
That is $1,098. So $1,100. Okay. Yep. On $1,100, that would have cost me $5. eBay takes 13%. So on 1,100, that's my math is correct. It's 130, and then it's 13. So 143. Yeah. So we're looking at 643. Shipping would run me about 70. So I'm getting about 710, right? Is what it costs. Okay. Let's say the card. So I do this. I sell all of them, and then that Friday the card comes out. I didn't even have the time to bond the money up into my Apple Pay high yield savings account. But if I had to, and the card was late and the card didn't come, I would have had 2 months of making 4% on $1,100 for two consecutive months, and then I would have refunded all my clients.
So you would have made money off money that's not yours.
Completely hedged it. But and then the crazy part is that after that, I then basically had $300, and I bought 24 shares of a company called Gain that pays me a dividend every month. Immediately after the money cleared. And I don't even have the card yet. But I bought them. And I got one of the highest valuations, and somebody else sold about 1,000 of these the way I sold 120. Mm-hmm. And I stopped after 100. I mean, I kept 3 for me. Maybe I kept 4 for me. I don't know. Maybe I kept 4. The point is that, let's say I sold 120, right? Mm-hmm. For pure honesty here. That's a lot of money. And I took $300, bought 24 shares of a company called Gain that I set a goal that I would have 500 shares by the end of December. And I was on track to do that by contributing money. And I got to that goal a lot faster. Mm-hmm. And I have 521 shares now because of it. And it's paying me dividends for this month, next month, and December, which should get me to 530.
So you have a love for cards and different things like that. What turned this? What was that moment that turned this to a business to you?
You get really cool stuff. So I've been selling comics for a long time. I mean, the way I got into this is that I was a comic collector, and I needed money for new comics in college and for beer. And so I bought a book for $20, and I sold it for like $120. It's like, okay, cool. I now have money to do this. Then I wanted to go and try to create a website and create a YouTube channel and do some other stuff. And that business, I wouldn't say it failed. It was just a diversion. So I sold some books, and then I had money to do it, and I sold more than I needed to, and then I left that alone for a while. And then one day I just needed some money, and then I was like, cool, let's do this Lego minifigure stuff. Let's do this stuff. Let's do this stuff. And then just started selling a lot of high-end stuff, and just never stopped. It just never stopped. And then all of a sudden you're selling really, really expensive books and really, really expensive Pop Funkos, and you're selling stuff that's really just appreciating in value. And then you just figure out, cool, if I buy X here and then I do Y there, and I'm coming out on top. And I'm not saying everything that I touch is a winner, because it's not. A lot of stuff is. I mean, I've done really, really well in this space. I mean,
so it seems like you stay consistent.
What?
It's like you stay consistent in what you do. Like, you start something, if it makes money or it makes you happy and it's not losing any money or time, you stay consistent in what you do.
I'll throw an idea out here. So Jose Iglesias is a baseball player. He has the song "Oh My God." I don't know, maybe some people have heard the remix with Pitbull. There's a baseball player who has a song that was remixed with Pitbull, like international superstar Pitbull. I want to make that crystal clear so everybody understands. He had a card performing OMG after, the Met game at Citi Field. Bought the card, And then there weren't a lot of them. And what wound up happening is that I let everybody clear out, and then I was selling my card for like $12, 12, 13, 14, $15 a piece. I only bought 20 of them, but I'm like, oh my God, this is great. How can I lose on this? And I thought it was stupid. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'll take a loss on it. It's not a big deal. It was $90, right? Turns out I made like 250 on it. And then I got some parallels that I sold. I sold a blue parallel, which is for those who are unaware, it's when a different colors at the bottom and they're limited cards.
Yeah.
So I sold one of those. And so like that's kind of just that's what happens. I mean, Topps had a raccoon running around on a soccer field. They had the cat showing up at Baylor. I mean, those raccoon cards, I made a boatload of money. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but you remember Boy Meets World, right?
Yes, that was my show.
They had Topanga throw out the first pitch at a Phillies game, and those cards made money. They did the solar eclipse Topps. I actually lost money on that card, but that card was fun to sell because it was funny. They did a card of the solar eclipse. It was great. I have like 4 of them left. They're great. But then they've done stuff of like the Negro Leagues, and so that stuff is kind of cool. And then they do special sets, and oh my God, like again though, so there was a special set of it's either a foil parallel or an artist proof card was in it, and it was $50. Cards sold that I bought 2 of them. I sold one for $150. Somebody sold one after mine for like $190. I didn't care because mine cost me $50. Person got it cheaper, and then I sold it quickly. Didn't even have the card, and then there you go. It was good because I paid for my item. I got my item for free. My client got his item cheaper, and I made a little bit of money. And then I took some of that profits and I invested in the stock market. And that's the whole plan. That's the whole plan. I buy item A that has a high yield rate of return sometimes. And the majority of the items I do sell higher than what I paid for. And then I invest it into the stock market, into a dividend. I leave the dividend alone. I then have money to buy a new item, and I repeat the process.
Man, you giving me the whole play. I'm certainly writing this.
Again, this is why it's not impressive. It's not impressive. It's really not that impressive what I've done. What I have figured out is that I follow a basic position, right? And I'm not doing, I mean, I buy companies like Coca-Cola. I buy a company called Gain. I buy a Realty Income. I'm not buying some high spec stock that was like, I'm not buying Bitcoin for 68 cents, right? And it goes up crazy. I'm going nice and slow, and I figured out how to buy a baseball card for $4.50, sell it for $8.50, make $1.50, but sell 20 of them. And then buy a stock for 15 or 20 bucks on that, or wait and sell 60 baseball cards and then buy Coca-Cola for 70 bucks and then collect my 54 cents dividend every quarter. And then all of a sudden that just gets reinvested back into the stock market. And then I just move along my merry life and I live below my means. And again, it's not sexy. It's not glamorous. And this is why I'm at odds with people. It's why I don't create a comic book, because it's just a money pit. And there's no exit. Everything I sell potentially could have a position where I could take money out of it if I wanted to.
Okay.
So but like that's what it is. Nothing I'm doing is sexy. And this is the problem. Getting rich in America is not sexy. Getting rich in America, you want to be average. Because if you're average in America, you're gonna have anywhere from 1.1 to $7 or $8 million. If you're average. My goal is 8% a year.
8%? Okay.
And then now I like to exceed my goal, but my goal is 8%.
Okay.
So if you pull 8% every year of your money growing, you will be worth millions of dollars in America if you start at the age of 30 and go to 65. You have 35 years of it, 8%, and that's just take 10% of your income and you'll be fine.
Okay. So 35 years. So
35 years. Yeah. If you take
at 8%, then the multiples of 7. So it folded. What?
You have
roughly
five doubles.
Five times. It compound interest 5 times in 35 years.
Yes.
If you had,
you have five doubles. So let me break this down, right? If you have $6,000 and it doubles, every year, and you have 5 of them, it goes from 6 to 12, 12 to 24, 24 to 48, and then that's 96,000.
Yep.
I think that's 5, right? Or
Yep.
is that 4?
No, that's 4, 8, 12, 24, 3, and then that's 5. That's 5.
So 96,000 is what $6,000 looks like in 35 years. It at an 8% level, because it doubles every 7 years. But it's more than that, though. It's more than that, because if you put 6,000, and it's not financial advice. I mean, you could test the market. I mean, you could go on. We could go on NerdWallet right now, and we could type in numbers like this, and we can get a real good estimate. And by the way, $6,000 is $500 a month. Just so everybody's aware, if you have a 401k and they take out 10%, that's 6, and you make 60,000, that's $6,000. But it's not 8% every single year. Sometimes it's 12%. Sometimes it's less. Sometimes it's more. It's also sometimes you have dividends that get reinvested into things. I mean, my Admiral shares at Vanguard and my 401k are killing it.
Yep, same.
So, and again, it just gets right zapped out of my paycheck. And I don't worry about it, and I get the tax benefit of it now. Now I'm gonna have to pay tax on the back end, but that's why, it's so important. And remember, if you put $6,000 in year 1, that doubles. It's gonna be worth 12 6 years later. But you put another $6,000 in, all of a sudden that money's also now working for you. And then all of a sudden, all the way you're putting it up, it doesn't just go. It's a lot more than doubling, because you have more money working for you. But I do that too, right?
Yeah.
So I have a Roth and I have a 401k. So I'm not just putting in 6,000. I mean, this year I'm going to be putting away 13,000. And then remember though, the 7,000 that I'm putting away in my Roth is tax free.
That's true.
I pay the taxes up front.
Yep. Okay.
Again, this is why I run my business, because it could very well be that my business funds my Roth IRA. And that means I will have millions and millions of dollars. I know I have a real good estimate of how much money I'm going to have when I'm 65.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice number. It's a nice number.
I bet.
I've run it on a very aggressive side.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice. It's very nice. And I don't think people realize how much money you can make. And I'll explain something that's going to make people angry in America. Peter Thiel. How much money do you think Peter Thiel is worth, and how much of it is it taxed?
Mm.
You know who Peter Thiel is, right?
Yeah, I'm looking up.
Peter Thiel. I mean, I could give you the answer.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
So Peter Thiel invested in Facebook early with Elon, right?
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
And Peter Thiel, a lot of his money is in what he put a lot of his fractional shares and his founder shares of PayPal into what is known as a Roth IRA. And at the time he did it, it was so basically he paid like 2 cents for a PayPal share. And obviously after a while it went up a lot, he sold out, and then he invested it in to Facebook and a bunch of other stuff. All that was all in a Roth. So he basically took 2,000 tax free, paid the taxes up front, and he has what is it, like 50 million or something like that, or it's like 5 billion, right?
Yeah, it's like 3.6 billion as of today. 3.6 billion
in
at
a
least,
Roth.
at least
in a Roth, which means it's all tax free.
Yep.
So that's the thing. My Roth is far exceeding what I put in, and because I paid all the taxes, it's tax free.
Yep.
I mean, I have a huge gain on Netflix. I mean, when you bought Netflix for $217, it's almost at $800, and you bought. I mean, I only had 12 shares of it, but it's significant growth. So that's the thing. But that's how I figured it out, is that I find investments that are cheap. That's a $4 investment that is now going up to $9. I make a $3 position in profit on it, and then I bundle 10 of those. That's $30, and then I buy a stock that pays me a distribution for doing nothing every month because of the dividend. So now I'm having capital come back, and then I let that capital go back into the stock, or I take that money and I deploy it elsewhere. A lot of what I do is I just have my dividends reinvest and buy me more shares. And then I find other things like I stake my crypto, which is nice. So now I don't have to look at that. And that just rebuys new crypto. So Ethereum is a good example. And then I buy a lot of small corporate business bonds that pay like an 11% yield.
Okay.
And then
So
I slowly take that money out and buy stocks with that money. And then I find a healthy level of adding more of those in there because they're short-term loans. And I like to buy ones that are like 11% on 24-month terms.
Okay. So, dang. So you be doing your thing when it comes to investing.
I'm very active.
Yeah.
But again, nothing I do is sexy. Nothing I do.
Yeah. No. Of course. Yeah.
This is boring. This is boring.
Yeah.
Like what I'm doing tomorrow is exciting.
Yep. No. I like boring. Trust me. I like boring. So I wanted to ask. We was talking about money. Like you're nearly to 1,000 episodes, right?
Yeah.
That's a major milestone with your podcast. Like, what has that taught you along the way? And do you have any advice for individuals like myself who's, trying to be the next Joe Rogan? I mean, I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan. I'm being myself, being who I am. I'm just.
I don't want to be Joe Rogan. I don't.
Yeah. I'll just make it just a little joke.
No. It's important because where I'm going is that I'm me, right?
Yeah.
So it took me. So it's 1,000 episodes over 2 shows. That one show was the predecessor to the other. So Pop Anime Comics Lounge, I did about 125 published episodes, about another 75 or another 80 that were not published that I still have. And then COVID hit. And I did this live stuff and I started doing that. And then everybody needed help. And I just said, cool, we're just going to throw this in and see what the hell happens. And then it just took off and I just kept going and promoting and pushing it out. And so what I've learned is that, hey, you got to adapt. Also, my first 50 episodes, I'm republishing them up on YouTube. Oh my God, I'm horrific. But I'm also saying, I mean, it's good. I had some serious great guests. My first 50 episodes, I had some serious firepower, but I had no idea what I was doing. It took me 50 episodes to start to find my voice. It took me another 25 to get to my voice. And then, but I asked all these top people and they're like, yeah, well, come on. And then I had people like Santine Phoenix on. I had people like Keith Silverstein on, who plays Torben Bolt and Char Aznavour from Gundam. I've had who else have I had on? I had Kalino Shaganasi on, who plays Miles Tails, and Ino from Naruto, and Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog, who was in Sonic 2 and is going to be in Sonic 3. I've had people like who else have I had on? I've had Debbie Derryberry, who plays Jimmy Neutron, and Zach Bell. I've had Jeff Nimoy, who is Digimon. I had Joshua Seth, who's Ty. And then I've had people like Dennis Kitchen. I've had people like Howard Cruz, who led the gay comics movement. I've had people like Dennis Kitchen. I've had Paul Levitz, who was a professor of mine, and I got to interview him in his house. I've had Daniel I've had Chuck Dixon, who's one of the best Batman writers ever. So, again, I just asked. And you'd be surprised who says yes. You'd be surprised. Plenty of people. And then I've got to interview people that I love. I've had Robbie Rist, who plays Choji. Yeah. Obviously, Kalino Shaganasi plays Inu. I've had Tom Gibbs, who plays Shikumaru. And again, I'm just stupid enough to ask.
So when you say ask, are you talking about like through Instagram, or you find an email somewhere,
Facebook, or on an email, Twitter,
whatever it takes?
I had Savannah Fox. She's an adult star, and she's got a nice back end.
Yep.
And I just asked her. I said, "Cool, I'd love to interview you." I had Bella Rockefeller on. Fast. Again, you'd be surprised. And then look, you know what? I've also asked groups, and I've had issues where people want to be paid for an interview, and
yes,
it's always an interesting thing, and it's very interesting. So I had a comment in one of these Facebook groups that had about 300 comments, and it was a really big discussion where people were like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." Person asked for $100. They were a cosplayer, and they have 11,000 Instagram followers. And the reason why I bring this up, and I think it's really important, is that people say, "Oh, people deserve to be paid." I'm like, great, but I just interviewed somebody who has 50,000 followers on Instagram, and they were like, "I'll come on for free." Like, how do we decipher this? And so even still, I'm learning everything. But then a good friend of mine, Chris Brown, who does a lot of board games, he said, I'll pay you what you bring to the show. And so that's my new response when people want to be paid, is saying, what are you going to bring to the show? I will pay you on a merit position. If you bring me 10,000 people watching this show live, I'll give you a piece of the action. But because I will sell a sponsorship in accordance to that, I will say, look, I have a guest and I will charge you based on the viewership of your sponsorship. It's going to be $5. But if we do 10,000, you're going to write me a position for $100, which would cover the guest. But if you bring me 4 followers who watched live or even a month later, you haven't done anything for me and you cost me $100. So, but then people get all offended. And so what I'm learning is that a lot of people have opinions when it's not their money.
Yeah.
But again, I just ask. And also the other thing that I'm going to say is everybody's replaceable. Everybody's replaceable. And it sounds mean.
No, it's not.
I have a regular day job. I want to make that crystal clear. I have a certification in accessibility. I have a CPACC, and I'm going to get further certified in something else. I was hired because I have that certification. It's a new certification. There's like 3,000 of us in the world. Anybody can get one if they want. But you got to put in the work to get it, right? Yeah. So it was about 120 hours of learning, studying, taking the test, doing a lot of other stuff, nail biting, shooting myself, having several nights of drinking afterwards, because I took that test and I'm like, oh my God, this was horrible. This was horrible. This was like, you ever walk into a test and you're like, this is not anything I studied.
I am not a good test taker at all.
And more.
Yeah, I am a terrible test taker.
It wasn't even that. I'm an okay test taker. I walked in, first question, I'm like, what the fuck? But my point is that what I've learned is that everybody's replaceable. And so if you say, hey, I want to be paid, I'm like, cool. What are you bringing to my table? And it is going to sound sexist. Men don't ask to be paid. Men don't ask to be paid. It's only women. My experience is that I've had about 30 people wanting to be paid to be interviewed. 29 of them have been women. 1 has been a guy.
Yeah. So I would say my first one, I was trying to get someone who was I shot for the fences. I'm not even sure I should say the name. Because
who was it?
So it was.
You don't have to say. I'm sorry. It's your show.
Yeah. I'll say it. Let's just say
this. I shot for Debbie Derryberry, who's the voice of Jimmy Neutron, and she's like, "I'm in. I'll happily come on." I've shot. Chuck Dixon is one of the best Batman writers. He was happy to come on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are happy to come on, who are at the top of their game, who are like, "Yeah, I'll come on. I got no problem. I got no problem coming on."
Yeah, I shot high. I shot for a former CEO of Funimation.
So you'd be surprised. Did you get a response, or did you just not get a response?
Yeah. So I got a response. I got a response 60 days later. And let's just say he didn't negotiate, but another individual on his behalf that he told me to contact to negotiate. And basically we went from a $10,000 negotiation to a $1,000 negotiation, which on hindsight, it does, going from 10,000, but at the same time, it's like, do I want to pay $1,000? Yeah, do I want to pay $1,000 for someone to come on my show for 30 minutes to an hour just to talk about?
I'll give you this. I had Paul Levitz, who was running DC Comics, who came on my show for free. Who's real for 14 years. Paul Levitz was running DC and is heavily involved in DC's like television and entertainment stuff, and was like flying. He was a professor of mine at Manhattanville College. An adjunct. He wasn't so he was teaching writing for the media. Awesome class, had a blast. I took the class for a different reason, and the other people took the class all for the other reason. Class. I took the class because I know his comics, and then he's great. And then I saw him in the city, and then I got to interview him. I interviewed him in his house. It was awesome. The point is that, and then I ran into him at AwesomeCon, and he knows who I am. It's great. He's absolutely a wonderful human being. Such a great guy, great professor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that you're running DC Comics, you're running a multi-billion-dollar business, and you're coming on for free, and you're happy to be interviewed, and
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the CEO of Funimation, I mean, no offense, but like, you should be wanting to be interviewed by a lot of people. You should be wanting to be interviewed. I mean, it's ridiculous. But again, it goes back to this thing, because now we're getting into a really fun conversation. Is that for $1,000, could you make up the aggregate of what he would bring? And that's how I felt about the $100 with that cosplayer. Is for $100, I can make up that aggregate with one person, 5 people, or legitly I could go to the bars and forget about you completely, or I could go to my liquor store and buy a bottle of Jack for $40, keep the 60, buy some stock and pour it, and be like, oh, who are you?
So basically, what happened was, so I looked at the person's social media presence. They had none.
Exactly.
So I was like,
they're not going to
so
help
they
you.
had so they had no imprint at all on any platform, right? Especially only platform they had on was LinkedIn. So I was like, okay, LinkedIn, but even his LinkedIn platform, his imprint was like a third of what mine's is on LinkedIn. So I'm like, okay, I can literally help him out on all metrics, right? And so I'm like, I don't see that. That's how I got him down to 1,000, because I was like, they were saying 5,000, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not asking him to fly out. I'm asking him to get online to do an interview for 20, 30 minutes, right? And I said, because the argument they was bringing is that the person that he was he needed to be flown out, given a room and $10,000. I'm like, well, it's online, he can do it from his house, it's 20, 30 minutes, I'm not asking for a full hour of his time. And then so they went down to 5Gs. And then I said, okay, I looked up his social media presence. I'm like, he has no social media presence at all. I can, I know for a fact I can get him a social media presence, at least a couple hundred subscribers and followers on multiple platforms, right? Because if they find out who he is, and basically what I was told is he doesn't care because he's retired and he just do it for fun. But I'm like, if he does it for fun, then why y'all keep asking for a monetary value?
Because you know what it is? He doesn't want to do it. Right. I mean, I love being interviewed. I want to share my knowledge with people.
Yeah.
I want to share my knowledge. I forgot who said it. Alex, I can't think of his last name. He said it would be a tragedy if I die with knowledge still left in my brain. And I prescribe to that idea, where I think it'd be horrible if I die with knowledge still left in my brain to some degree. Now, I'm not saying I want to give somebody, so like, I'm not going to mentor somebody for free, right?
Yeah.
I'm on a show and you want to know how I think and what I do. I mean, the fact that I legitly gave so much information from somebody on how to do something. I mean, I didn't give you all my secrets, so I want to make that clear. Like, if you want to like legitly, like I've said to people at a convention, when I go, I say, come hang out with me for an hour. Let's go talk about this. You want to sit with me at lunch? You buy your lunch, I'll buy my lunch. We'll talk about comps. We'll talk about making money in comics all day. I have no problem talking for free with people. If I'm in line waiting to get an autograph with a voice actor, that's not the time to talk to me. But I said, I was doing a panel, how to invest in comic books, Comic Book Investing 101. I said, go, guys, I'm going to be eating lunch tomorrow around 12:30. Come find me at a table. Bring your lunch, buy lunch, and we'll talk about comics for like an hour. I got no problem doing this. You guys want to meet me outside, or like, oh, guys, like, there's like a few seats out there. Like, you guys want to continue this conversation outside of all this? I'm more than happy. I got an hour or two before I'm going to my next panel over here with this thing, with my friend, so-and-so is doing this cosplay thing. I said, I'll talk all day with everybody for free. Like, again, so many people, I don't think they get it.
Yeah, and I don't take it personal. I think it's just part of business, right? You have those people, like you said, who want to do an interview and who doesn't.
I take it very
personal. I don't. So, because if I took it personal, I would get discouraged. But I'm not. So I'm like, okay, it's part of business. It's whatever.
The way I take it is that it's not personal to the same sense. I take it as, so Mark Cuban says, this is how I take it, right? I like Mark Cuban a lot on certain things. His advice on cryptocurrency is not to be taken well. He does not have a good track record. I'm sorry. We have to call things what they are. Did I just break you? Did I just break you?
No. I have bad allergies, so.
Mark Cuban, I would not listen to Mark Cuban on cryptocurrency, okay? But there's a lot of good stuff Mark Cuban has done. But it's terrible. It's just terrible. Mark Cuban can also be a bit of a bully with the 24-second clock on Shark Tank. I like Mark Cuban, but those two things are slight faults with him.
Yes.
But this is my point is that he said that he learns a lot more from when people ask him questions than when he asks them questions. So if I ask somebody, so when I reach out for an interview and so I reach out to an adult star and they say, cool, we could do a session. I'm said, that's not what I asked you. I didn't ask you to do a cam session with you. I asked you for an interview. Your response tells me way more. I reached out to a voice actor. He said, oh, I have, things on my website for this, for personal meet and greets. I said, that's not what I asked you.
Mm-hmm.
I asked you for an interview. Your response, I didn't respond to that. I said, okay, because your response told me everything I needed to know.
Yeah.
If I reach out for an interview for you and your response is that, oh, I have personal meet and greets, that's not a personal meet and greet. A personal meet and greet is not an interview, and an interview
100%.
is not a personal meet and greet. Those two things are not the same. And if you respond to me, that tells me you're not serious and that you didn't understand the question. And I understand that people are going to see this and they're going to be like, it's just semantics. No, you told me everything I need to know.
No, 100%, because you're telling me my time isn't important. To me, you know what I'm saying? And I have asked plenty of people to do an interview.
I'll throw you something out there. You have a form, right? And I answered every question that I can answer. And there's certain things that I'm like, I don't know how to answer certain things on your form. I think there was one on your form, like a major accomplishment or something, and like I didn't have an answer for it. But I spent the time, and I spent a good 20 minutes, and I don't mind spending the 20 minutes to answer as truthfully as I could. And I'm sure there's people who may leave something blank on that form.
Well, it's more. I had a person who left everything blank, and I was like, hey, man, I don't think you'll be a good fit for the interview. And he's like, well, why not? I said, well, I explained to him, I said, hey, the reason I have the form just to see if you'll be a good mesh for the show. Of course, it's not predominantly anime and stuff like that, but if I ask you something about anime, I don't fake the phone. You know what I mean? And so he was like, yeah, well, I thought we was gonna just be able to have a discussion. I said, a discussion about what? And he's like, well, I don't know. I figured you'd do that. I'm like, that's what I'm doing. That's why I asked you. That's why I have to. And so I was like, I'm done. I'm just. I was just done.
My point is that with this, and it's really important, is that I took the time to put in the effort with the form to the best that I could. I'm not saying every answer I threw out there what was the best thing, but I'm like 91 Days. It's efficient. It's a great show. It's a perfect show in a lot of ways. I'm a big Shikamaru fan because Shikamaru thinks smarter, not harder. But like this is where I go with this is that if you can't, if I throw somebody a form and then you can't give me, or I'll give you an example. I reach out to my friend. I say, hey, what's your Kickstarter link? So I could include it in the show. If you don't give me that link and I got to go fucking find it, you're making my life harder. Yeah. Like it's going to take you 10 seconds to get me your Kickstarter link, right? So if you can't get me your Kickstarter link, we're going to have a problem. So that's kind of where I'm at. And so that's the whole thing. So again, but I understood why you have your form, and I put in the effort of 20 minutes, and I said, well, if this interview doesn't work out, okay, at least I tried.
Yeah. And not totally, and that's, I appreciate, and not to just stay on this subject, it's just, I do appreciate individuals like yourself who take the time out to fill out the form to, be honest and answer. You don't have to have all the answers. I ask, just so we can have, and doesn't need to say, it just helps me formulate questions, learn more about my guest, and do my research, my due diligence as much as possible.
See, you're in a different stage than I am at. So I don't have a form. I used to have a form. I don't like forms. I ask my guests, and I am specifically curated on my show. Specifically curated, in which I don't want to, in which I reach out. It's very rare that I get solicited, and when people solicit me, those interviews go 50-50. I got about 20 of them, and 10 of them were great, and 10 of them were horrible. Just horrible. And people take advantage of the solicitation. So people reach out to me, and also some of them just sound so slimy. And what's worse, and I don't know how you feel about this, I got the same message on my Instagram, my personal Facebook, my Twitter, and my page. The same message. It's like, bro, if you don't know that all these 4 things, that have the 4 same names, Pop Anime Comics, Pop Anime Comics' page, Pop Anime Comics Lounge, Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Pop Anime Comics, Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. Like, you gotta do a little more research, and that's just shotgunning it. And it goes back to that Mark Cuban thing, where you're asking me, but you're not smart enough to ask. So I can ask you a question, and it'll tell you more about me, and it might give me some stuff. Like, let's say you were asking me a financial question, right? Say, cool. If you were asking me something about real estate and FAPO and PMI, and you say, well, this company really deals in PMI, but this company really doesn't do PMI, and they're both stocks, but the one that deals with PMI has a higher mortgage, and when they don't make their mortgage, they pay their stock down, and something like that, like Jiffy. That's an intelligent question. That's going to be like, okay, now I have a snapshot of you, because you asked me, you say, hey, Andrew, what's the top real estate stock you would invest in? Those 2 questions to me tell me more about you, and that's a complicated thing, and it's not exactly 100% true. But the point is that there's certain discrepancies in that question. But the point is that if you ask me, hey, Andrew, what's the top real estate stock you would invest in, or you say, hey, Realty Income is doing X, and then I'm trying to think of another stock that's similar to Realty. Boston Realtors might be one, or Boston. I forget. Which one would you go with? Because obviously one's dealing with office space that's coming back, but the other is dealing with CVSs. And, obviously Realty Income is also now in a weird position. And what you think is going on because of the way the economy is turning, as well as with corporate, real estate debt coming up. Where do you see it going, Andrew? Do you think that this office space is a better play, or do you think it's going to go downward? And should I get in 6 months when all those bonds have to get renewed and reissued out? Or do you think that I should get in now because that's really just a falsehood bubble? That's an intelligent question. Do you see the difference in questions? So when somebody goes and doesn't fill out your form, that tells you a lot more about them. Even if they have all the answers, it says they don't want to put in the effort.
Yeah. And so we can't make it a great interview. 100%. 100%. Nah, man, you are hitting the head on the nail.
I've been doing this so long, and I don't get interviewed. That's the problem. I enjoy being interviewed. What I find, and I'm very honest about it, is that in the comic realm, what happens is that they don't know how to ask questions. Because I'm not a comic creator. I just sell product. I sell books, and I sell high-end products and low-end products. And I have real insight into an industry that I haven't created anything in because I've been doing it for 10 years.
And you could tell, That's why that's why I asked the question, like, is it just passion or is it more than that? And you got to do your research. And that's like, and I believe that's with everything you do. You have to do your research. You have to put in your time. And me and my wife were talking about this, like, nothing that you do, like when it comes to finances, like you alluded to it, is sexy. It's not. It's boring. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I'd rather be I like to be a boring billionaire.
This is the sexiest thing that's ever happened to me in cards. This is the sexiest thing that's ever happened to me in cards. This is a 101 card that I pulled out of a product that is completely random. I've pulled good cards. I pulled 5 out of 5s. I pulled 10 out of 10s. I pulled 25s. I pulled 49s. I pulled a lot of 49s. I've never pulled a 101. This is sexy.
Yeah.
But that's just luck. And I buy a lot of product, and the likelihood of me getting this was low.
Yep.
And this is sexy because I'm a New York Mets fan, and this is awesome. And I made a video of it, and I'm going to be cutting it up. And there's a good chance I'm going to try to get it on Topps' Instagram. Because this is the card everybody who is a Mark Vientos fan wants. And this guy is fire. during the playoffs. He's the reason
Whew.
why the Dodgers did not sweep the Mets.
So so since it's a one-on-one, is that an option to sell?
For a lot of money, maybe.
They got to make it worth it.
I mean, I'm looking at 500, 600, maybe 7. I mean, if that was an Ohtani or a Paul Skeens, it'd be like a $10,000 card. I don't know how to price that. I don't know how to price that, and nobody knows I have it until now.
Exclusive.
I mean, a lot of what happens with those one-on-ones is that a big card shop gets it, or a big card break gets it. I'm not that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm ecstatic. The likelihood of me getting that is wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I pulled 10 of 10s, which are awesome. I pulled 5 of 5s, and I'm so happy about that. And I pulled good cards, and I have cards that are valuable, that I have high numbered. I've never pulled a 101, but that's sexy, right? But that has nothing to do with my business. That is just pure luck. And if you buy enough, and you spend enough money, and you do it over and over and over again, you're gonna eventually pull something.
Yeah.
But I would have been happy with like a 25 or a 10. I would have been ecstatic with a 10. I pulled the Mark Vientos 10. I pulled the Francisco Lindor 10. I'm ecstatic when I get a 10.
Mm-hmm.
But now I can do something with that card, which is called collecting the rainbow. So I have that in 25. I have that in a 101. I need a 5, a 10, and a 49. So I'm 3 away. I think 3 away because orange I'm missing a red, and I'm missing a blue. The blue is going to be $30. The red might be 50, and I'm hoping the orange is like 80. And then I've completed the rainbow. And then my goal is to get Mark Vientos to sign all of them, which he might do. I think if I complete the rainbow, I think Topps might hook me up.
Yeah. So
that's the goal. That's the goal. Complete the rainbow, but it's doable. It's doable.
It is.
It is because I have the 101. If I didn't have the 101, I wouldn't care about completing the rainbow.
Okay.
It's a thing. It's a thing. It's a genuine thing to complete the rainbow.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's not doable. That's why I don't want to sell the card, because I want to complete the rainbow.
Yeah. Okay. Passion. Okay.
I'm so excited. Like that's sexy, right? Everything else in finance. But then again, I mean, the Caitlin Clark thing that I did, which bought me $300 and 24 shares of gain, that was sexy. But now, because gain is now working for me, and I don't look at it ever again, and that's what's nice. And I just hold on to it. I have 521 shares of a company working for me, producing me 8 cents a share every single month.
That's me. Yeah,
it's like $40. You might laugh, but
no, I'm not laughing.
Then it buys me 3 new shares, because that money gets reinvested. And guess what happens? Now my portfolio is going up by 24 cents every single month of cash.
Yep. And you don't have to worry about it.
It's more fun because they're a business to business, a BDC, business development company. So they're treated like a REIT, but they're more treated like a REIT. They have to return capital, any capital, or they have to pay taxes on it. So they just returned me a special dividend of 70 cents. So 521 shares, 70 cents, that's like $350.
Yeah.
That was in cash that I then bought more shares. That's how I got to my 521. And they do that every single year. And sometimes and then they've raised their dividend like 2 years ago. So again, there's nothing sexy about this. And I've done the math where legitly, if you take $6,000 a gain and leave it alone, it's like $70,000 over 35 years. Just on the dividends reinvesting, and that doesn't count special dividends. So it's 70 cents for doing nothing, and their dividend is 96 cents. So legitly, they paid me an additional 70 cents, plus they're paying me 96 cents for me just holding their company and doing nothing. It's great.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
And that's what I love. I love it. That's what made me fall in love with investing. It's because of that. I mean, because I can literally just give my dollars and make money. My money make money.
Coca-Cola's a great company. If you bought, I think, 1 share of Coca-Cola in 1909, and it came out to be worth $1.1 billion. 1 fucking share, okay? But like, I put it up, and people are like, "Oh, I wish I could go back in time." I'm like, I don't think you got it. This is the point of investing. Is that I don't know your politics, but Ben Shapiro said this really well. He said, back in the day, I bought a share of Apple when I was really young, and I didn't look at it for 7 years. Turns out it was up a lot of money. So he bought a few shares of Apple. He didn't look at it. I think it was like 22, 23. Just bought a few shares. Didn't look at it. Looked at it like at 32. So like 9 years later, turns out he was up like 1,000%. Now, no. You may or may not like Ben Shapiro, but he wasn't arguing politics. He was arguing how to get rich in America.
Yeah. No, see, I don't. I have no, I guess, political, I guess, affiliation. Like, I'm not a Democrat, not a Republican, not independent.
It's not hard
I
to
really
figure
try.
out where I'm at. It's
Yeah,
not hard to figure out.
yeah. I like. I really am the type of person that, like, especially when it comes to politics. If you can do right by myself and my values, and I feel like, on the issues that matter to me, of course, like you said, I'm not. It can't be just one issue. It has to be. For me, it has to be a conglomerate of issues, right? That I feel that you're on the right track on.
I'll give you an example. So Chris Murphy, I don't have a problem with his Sandy Hook position. I don't think that he has the full answer for that on banning assault weapons. I think that's a lot. I think it's more complicated because what is an assault weapon, right? An assault weapon can be a very complicated term, so that has to be further defined, right? Is an assault weapon the number of bullets you're carrying, or is it an AR-15? Because we have to actually hammer that terminology out before we can have a real conversation about this. But his stance on crypto, so if we hammered it out and said you couldn't carry more than 18 rounds in a handgun, that's an assault weapon. We have to have a real conversation now about what constitutes X. But we do need reform on guns.
Yeah.
But we actually have to have a real honest conversation. Now, his stance on crypto is that he's anti-crypto. I'm like, bro, why are you anti-crypto? I would love to invite him into my house or on a Zoom call. I'll get my friend Brandon Duff, my friend Nima Ashford, who lives in Australia, and then I have another friend, and my friend Eric, who's really big into crypto, and we'll have a conversation and like a round table with Chris Murphy, and we'll get him a crypto wallet, and we'll teach him, and he'll be like, oh, I get it now, and then he'll become one of us. Right? Because crypto is not Republican, Democrat. Crypto is just crypto.
Yes,
so I just think that like I would love to do that. So I believe I can sway him on an issue that isn't political. Cryptocurrency should not be political.
I agree.
This isn't abortion, right? This isn't, social safety nets. This isn't Medicare. Cryptocurrency is cryptocurrency, and it's Republican, Democrat. But again, I mean, my political affiliations are well known. It's not hard to figure out, but I'm also like, I don't care. I'll give you an example. I tend to lean right, but I just had a transgender woman on my show who's into the adult industry with her wife, and we had a great interview, and I love Robin Coffins and Serena Havoc. I don't have a problem with Serena Havoc being trans. I don't give a fuck. And then I had an asshole in the comment who got banned from my YouTube channel for like a week and a half because he called her a man. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. You can't do that. Like you can do a lot of things, but you can't do that. But like, and I don't care if somebody's gay. What do I care? But what I do care about is that, I mean, things are expensive. I like the fact that we're not in wars right now, or we weren't in wars 4 years ago. I'm very much an American first person. But again, I don't think those positions are crazy.
Yeah, no.
But again, I believe I can sway Chris Murphy on the crypto issue. And if I could do that, then I'll be really happy. And I might vote for Chris Murphy if he has a difference and sways on crypto. But right now, I'm probably not going to vote for anybody in the Senate race. And Joanna Hayes, who's my congresswoman running, same thing. I'm probably not going to, I mean, I'm voting for my president, the presidential race. I'm probably going to vote, for George Logan on a congressional level, but I'm not going to vote in the Senate. I mean, I don't like either of my Connecticut choices. And then locally, it's complicated. I don't really care locally. I don't. I legitimately really just care about the presidency this round.
Okay, this round. Okay, gotcha.
I might do the president, and I might just leave the rest blank. Seriously, because I don't know anything locally. But again, I care about my money, right? That's the only thing I care about, and I care about my business. Like Joe Biden put in continues with the hobby. You know how much money that's going to save me? It's probably going to save me $15,000 to $20,000. because I bought a bunch of cards for me that I sold, bought 3 cards, sold 2, that paid for the third one, and I have now a card for free. And it's amazing.
Yep.
And it's not taxable. Under Trump, it was taxable. That's a game changer in my business.
Yeah.
It's the idea that if you upgrade a comic book, so I mean, I showed this, right? This is a graded book, right? If I bought this book raw and then I bought this graded and then I sell the raw book and I recoup some of my money from the raw book, that raw book sale is not taxable because I upgraded the book.
Okay.
So now as a collector, that's invaluable because when you're upgrading into a better position, you now are not going to get penalized for upgrading and making your collection better. And that's a really important component of the IRS code that a lot of people don't understand. And when you're dealing with one of those books, it's not a big deal. But when you're dealing with thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, it's huge. So like we talk about $100,000 sales, there could very well be, when I file my taxes, like 10,000 of that is not taxable.
Okay.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah, it is.
So this is why I go read the IRS code, everybody. It'll save you money, and tell your accountant what you want to do. And your accountant will be angry with you at first. Be like, nah, we're going to go this way.
You're being informed. You're being informed. No, 100%. So, hey, it's been a wonderful episode. So before we get out of here, if anything you got going on, like right now, the floor is yours. You take it how you want to, do it. And then anything you want to add.
Oh, yeah. I'll just promote my socials really quickly.
Okay.
And then I'll tell about my new next project. So obviously I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter/X, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, Pop Anime Comics on YouTube. Got a lot of content coming out. I'm releasing during the week about 10 videos every week, and then 2 on the weekends. So about 17 videos. So I do a lot of micro content, and then I'm releasing a lot of my earlier interviews from this year. And we're going back almost 10 years ago, and I'm releasing all my old interviews that are still up in RSS feed mode. But we're bringing them over to YouTube, so you could actually see the predecessor of Pop Anime Comics Lounge, because there's a lot of good content in there. A lot of good content, and it's really, really fun. So there's a lot of cool stuff, and I do a lot of content, and I also have a lot of micro content, as I was stating. And I got probably about 90 interviews that are coming out in the next probably 3 months from earlier this year. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be at ExoticaCon tomorrow. So I'm going to try to snag some interviews. Definitely trying to get Sarah J on.
Yeah.
I really want to get Sarah J on. Plays with action figures. I mean, she's awesome. I want to get her on in a bikini. That's really what I want. Savannah Fox came on in a bikini, and it was awesome. It's awesome. Oh my God, she's just so cute. I'm sorry, I get distracted.
Hey, your girlfriend might get mad.
No. And then I really want to interview Karen too. So ideally, and if I could snag Lauren Phillips, oh my God, just I'll be done. I'll just be done. No. But so I'm gonna be probably linking up some interviews tomorrow. There, and trying to get a few. And then on top of that, though, I do run an eBay store, Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. So come find me on eBay. I sell anything from an $8 card to, I have a $900 card right now in my store. I run the gauntlet. So I sell everything from like an $8 card to like a $900 card. And that card that I did show, if somebody wants it and you make me a real offer, I might consider. But it's got to be a real offer. It's got to be really, really up there. I do have a Ben Rice that I'm also, that's a 5 of 5. It's got to be higher than the Ben Rice, and if I was to sell my Ben Rice, it's about $550. So that Juan Soto is expensive, but this one right here will be up on Sunday. So I'm looking at like $350, $400 for it. It's a Marcelo Ozuna, the DH on the Braves. It's a game used ball from the Home Run Derby. So that'll be up on Sunday. So that one, if somebody offers me like $325 for it, I'll probably take it. Or if you have a Pete Alonso and you want to trade, I'm open to a trade as well. And then my next project that I'm actually working on and it's really going to be taking full force in December, is I am doing a YouTube channel and starting another YouTube channel called Big Boy Card Collecting. And Big Boy Card Collecting, we educated cards. So I actually broke that card out on Big Boy Card Collecting. We talked about a lot of education of the card, a little bit more stuff with that, as well as unboxing that Mark Vientos was out there and talking about Caitlin Clark stuff. And it's an interesting YouTube channel, and that's kind of my next project. And I got a lot of content coming, and I'm really gearing up for December. And I have a very cool product coming in at the end of December. It's a Otani 50/50 boxes, and they're expensive. They're like $240 boxes. I think they're trading for like $500 right now on eBay. So really, really cool stuff. But I'm not selling mine. I want to crack it open. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. And if anybody has one, and you want to join me for a break, and we could do a group break. Anybody who wants to join me, come find me. My email is andrewedavis@hotmail.com, and we can all get together and break some stuff. And if anyone wants to join me, and I would say we should drink, but that's probably a really bad idea with high-end cards around. Not because drinking is bad.
No, I know
one spell, and it's all kaput. And but all jokes aside, I'm very excited for that product. It's coming in at the end of December, though. So we're a little while away, and I got a 206 coming also, which is going to be broken up. And 206 is really cool. It's tobacco-esque is a good way to put it as a card set. Really cool stuff. So I'm stoked for it, and I got a lot of cool stuff coming. And yeah, I got a lot of cool cards coming in the next like 4 or 5 months. I got a bunch of base relics. I got so much cool shit coming that I get to share. And a lot of this stuff is going to be live, a bunch of video stuff. And we're trying to get that Mark Vientos video once I cut it up, I think tonight or tomorrow. We're trying to get it actually on Topps' Instagram. So that'd be super cool. It'd be super cool. And I'm hoping I get to do that because that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm going to collect the rainbow. We're going to collect the rainbow. So if anybody has those Mark Vientos cards, by the way, which I will say this because this is a platform and you never know who knows who. This is card number 806. So if you have a orange, red, or blue, please let me know and email me. And there's a good chance I will buy it from you. And you can help me complete the rainbow. So that's the plan. So I would like to have all 6 and complete the rainbow. So yeah, that's where we're at. So that's everything I got going on. And yeah, I'm going to hand you back your show. Sorry, we went over. We went massively over.
Yeah. Usually I try to keep it short, but like I said, anytime, enjoying the conversation, listening, and then I look up and it's like, oh shit. But thank you, Andrew, for your inspiring words and your content, man. I am pretty psyched, especially like all the content you say you have coming out, and then also Big Boy Cards. I want to learn about card collecting and trading and everything. So I'll be on the lookout, man. So really appreciate you and thank you for being here, man. And for everyone else, you know what it is. Peace.